Hi, I'm Robert Lisatz, and this channel is all about being safe, fit, and prepared like a modern-day samurai. And today with me is John Christian. He is also a modern samurai, a true samurai, and he will tell us more about intuition in today's interview. Why is intuition important? Because I want all of you who are watching these videos to be also proficient and well equipped, not just in the ring or in the octagon or on the mat, but also in life.
Yeah.
And this is why intuition is important. Inside the gym, inside the dojo, and outside of the dojo.
Yeah.
So how do we use intuition?
Okay. So here's something I've learned in my experience through the years, is that martial arts and training forms like that are really about mastering ourselves. Like Robert said, we need to be masters in the marketplace of ourselves, of our own mind, our emotional choices, and our physicality. So listening to the intuition is something that unfortunately has been left behind a lot, and to our own costs. So intuition is that inner voice that's often referred to in spiritual teachings. Be still, mentally, emotionally, and listen to the inner voice. That's the voice behind all the other voices that you've learned to talk to yourself in. It's more of a feeling than a thinking.
Yeah, but you know what is interesting from the martial arts perspective is that we learn techniques.
Yeah.
Just techniques, but we don't learn how to feel the stuff.
Absolutely.
And why the reason why we have to execute the techniques.
Yeah.
And I guess it's very similar in everyday life.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely the same. Because we overthink everything, we're still in our head, and that means all of our energy is in our head. It's not integrated in the body, sitting comfortably, mind, will, heart, feelings, breath, body. As Robert was saying here, we disconnect from the intuitive impulse, and that's only there for us if we've gone through the training. So in the beginning, we have to think about the training. So when I'm training with Robert, for example, my head gets in the way because I'm trying to think, what did you say? Where is it got to be there? Is it got to be there? Where's it got to be? And I'm so busy thinking that I'm not sitting in the flow and the feeling and the ease of the moment. So we have to go through the training in order to get to those what we call piece de resistance moments of absolute self-confidence from the training, and then we're in that present moment.
So you get your butt kicked in a relaxed way.
You get you exactly.
No, I'm joking. But what would be a first step people can make towards this goal?
Yeah. Okay. So if you think in daily life, there's so many distractions, and again, because we're in the habit of thinking too much, we're thinking I've got to do this and I've got to do that. So I'm often speaking to business people, for example, and they tell me, I know I should have stopped. I say, so why don't you stop? I haven't got time for that. I'm too busy. I've got a business to run. But then I see that they've got so many problems in their lives on every level of their life because their energy is scattered all over the place, right? Or it might be focused in one pot, but that pot has gone from inspiration and joy to overwhelm. Now I've got all these responsibilities, all these people to pay, all these things. And in that process, we get caught in an external trap of energy rather than starting each day with meditation practice, proper breathing practice, proper relaxation practice. And then the martial art is to take that into your business.
Okay. Is there a particular exercise you would recommend to people?
Yeah. If you look at spiritual teaching, what you'll say is, from all walks of path, they say, the truth is simple and it will set you free. So if we have trained this mind to be body conscious, breath conscious, the breath is the most important thing. So to retrain the mind, notice when it's busy and running around all over the place, remind yourself, there goes my energy. Is that really where I want my energy to be going? So you actually, this is what I tell the children, just say to those voices, thanks for testing me, but no thanks. I'm not giving you all that attention anymore. So you simply think, breathe. And you come back into the solar plexus. The mind has become conscious and focused. Then you have to tell the body, because the body's normally in tension, you have to tell the body to relax until the body understands. So our body is the last thing to get the message very often. That's where the practice comes in, and that's where most of us are lazy because we're too busy being distracted.
This is a very good point, and reminds me in martial arts training. Normally, when people are getting tensed, so if they are tensed, the muscles are tensed, they have first, in order to react to input or aggression from outside, they first have to relax, and then they can react. So this means it takes them much more time, instead of just being relaxed all the time and reacting from this place.
It's not spontaneous.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've learned, because most of my life I've been a performer as a singer and actor. So I've learned through that trial and tribulation, we have to understand that the body does its own thing, you know, and it's run on conditioning. So I always say to my groups now, I'm going to take the first 5 or 10 minutes to tune myself in. So like if I have a guitar with me, I'll show them, like if I have all 6 strings in tune, then it sounds great. If I take one out of tune, the rest sound horrible.
Yeah.
And it's the same with our thinking.
And you can have the best technique in the world, but it still sounds like shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it still comes out like shit through the body because internally we've not attuned within energetically properly.
So do I get you right? It's actually more an art of mindful practice. You have again and again focus on this thing.
Yeah. And keeping it simple. This is the difficult thing for us too. We've become so complex and busy in our thinking. We think everything has to be difficult. So the mind has not been trained to remain in innocence. So that's why we see children, they're so soft and they're so present because they haven't learned to think. So here's a little technique for you. Often what I do when I'm meditating, because of years of conditioning to be in that busy mode, I reflect and remind my cells, what was it like? How did it feel before I learned to think? And it's like the cells of my body remember that if I require my mind to focus on that memory and put my breath into it and my attention into it. So the body then immediately starts to relax because the mind is relaxing into that childlike innocence again.
And I guess there is also quite a step forward when you start trusting again to this feeling.
Yeah. So we have to unlearn most of what we've learned. That's the problem. That's the problem. And also because of the way we've been taught to learn, we've been taught learning is only a rational, logical, deductive, analytical process, all of which cheats you of being in tune with a higher sense intuitive intelligence, which is the very intelligence that creates this body in this very moment. That intelligence, the bridge to access that between human personality ego, is in every breath. So to me, what we call God or spirit, whatever you want to call it, only gets into this body if I'm allowing it to through proper breathing. Otherwise I'm disconnecting and just taking energy up into my head. All the energy is going out there into the world, and I wonder why I feel exhausted rather than pleasantly tired at the end of the day.
This reminds me very much, do you know when children, when they're 2 or 3 year olds, when they're drawing people, they're drawing really big heads and just small limbs. And this is actually a very good analogy how we are functioning today, because it's everything in the head, as you said. Everything is trapped in the head. Tell me, John, what are the benefits if we're listening to
Okay.
our intuition?
I can give you a couple of examples that were on the world news that my life was involved in. One was, you may remember, some years ago in Sri Lanka, the Tamil Tigers placed a lorry with full of bombs, and they blew up the whole main street
Okay.
in Colombia. Now, I was meant to be standing in front of the Sri Lankan Air Office that morning, exactly where they placed that lorry. Right?
Oh man, yeah.
And in my meditations, I got this strong impulse: cancel that, rearrange it. So I called my friends and said, "Can we meet the day before?" And they went, "Oh, fine." So we met the day before. The whole street was blown up.
Wow.
That made me pay even more attention to that feeling instinct. And then the next time I was taking one of my meditation groups through the Himalayas, and we were high on the mountain, and I got this strong feeling because I saw a storm coming up through the valley, and it said, "Don't stay another night." It was like a voice and a feeling all at one. So I went back down the mountain and said to my Sherpa team, "We're not staying any longer." And they said, "Oh, why so? What the problem?" So I said, "Just trust me, we're not staying." So we left. By the time we reached the helicopter pad to fly back to Kathmandu, all the helicopters were going up the valley. So of course I said, "What's going on?" They said, "You don't know." And the site we were on had been wiped out by an avalanche, and 90 people were killed. So that's why it's important to trust your intuition.
I mean, these are perfect examples,
Yeah.
and I think that for everyone it's perfectly clear. But yesterday when I was at a meeting,
Yeah.
we were talking about earthquakes and this kind of
Yeah.
what you can do in this kind of when this is happening,
Yeah.
or even before earthquakes. And there was a lady, and she was pointing out that she felt that something was going to happen.
Yeah.
How do you then react accordingly?
Yeah.
Because
No, they're great questions.
like in the first example, you could have said, "Okay, I know that something is wrong," but
Yeah.
if you don't know what is wrong, how can you react?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, it's a perfect question. It's great. It's like, it's such an incredible thing because the mind still goes, "What if I'm wrong? Supposing I'm wrong." And that's where we cheat ourselves again. So this is where self-discipline comes in through meditation practice. So it's to train the mind and to know what you're listening to. Where do I trust myself the most? With that
Okay.
gut feeling, or with all this, what the head can come up with a trillion things, and that's where it cheats us,
Yeah.
right? Because as soon as we go into the head, "I'd love to, but what if?" We've crucified ourselves,
Yeah,
if you want to use that analogy, that's our energy's gone there. So that energy between the two hemispheres of the brain has just split and gone out there, and you've got to bring it back in and align it with the heart, the breath, and the feelings. And that's that process.
Okay.
It's a constant, everyday, every moment process of developing that sixth sense awareness.
Or actually the unlearning you just mentioned before, in a way.
Ongoing learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, unlearning.
Oh, unlearning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In a way.
it's a paradox.
Yeah.
Because it's like I've got to teach my mind to be aware of what I've learned to do that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right? And it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Because if you think of it like this, we are the master already, but we are testing ourselves to prove it to ourselves. So how do we do that? The way we think, what we believe, what emotions we choose to create, and our behavior. So we're in this school of our own making. Every day we meet ourselves, and we meet where I didn't listen.
Yeah.
Right? And oh my God, I knew I shouldn't have said yes.
Yeah.
And here I said yes. So if I'm working with therapists, for example, a hard lesson for many of them in the beginning is to say no to a client because they're tired. They've already served 20 clients, right? In the Bible it says that, let your yes be yes and your no be no. So this in itself is a difficult lesson of developing this right thinking process, wisdom thinking, rather than just thinking. So, noticing, I said yes, and the feeling said, why did I say that?
Yeah.
Right? And then what happens is, it's like martial art. As soon as that person comes into my life again, I'm already feeling energetically, oh God, why did I say it? So I hope they don't come again.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm already separating
Mm-hmm.
from that person, right? Pushing them away. And because I've taught them to expect that they can trust my word,
Yeah.
right? So I've just given myself a lesson. Do I trust my word? Do I trust myself? Do I give my real self-trust to this person in my life and my business?
Yeah.
So, for example, in marital situations, I've had people 40 years, 40 years ago, I know I shouldn't have been walking up the aisle.
Yeah,
And I said yes. And I knew I shouldn't have done. So 40 years later, can you help me get out of this?
And then you ask yourself the wrong question: can it get even worse? Yes, it can.
Yes, it
And then you get
Yeah.
additional portion of
Yeah.
suffering.
Right.
Another question I have for you: these are the benefits.
Yeah.
Because as we know, some people are drawn towards the benefits, and other people, in order that they change, they have to be punished. So,
Oh, that's a great one. Like that.
oh yeah, thank you.
That's all right. You just taught me that.
No, okay. What are the consequences if we don't listen?
Okay, this is a great one. Okay, if we put it in this, and I don't mean this in a sentimental, wishy-washy way.
Okay.
Love is the most powerful force in the universe, and it's the hardest lesson.
Mm-hmm.
It's why we're always looking for it. Okay, because we don't believe we are lovable enough.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that come from? Because we have a system that at the moment is unenlightened, and it teaches us from day one, unless you can repeat this information, there's something wrong with you. So that child instantly gets this confusion, because the child in its innocence knows, do you know what, I'm okay. I know I'm okay. I don't know how, because I don't know how to think that, but I just know I'm okay. That's why I'm in innocence, right? I know I'm taken care of somehow by this magical universe, ocean that I'm swimming in, somehow, but there's no thinking about that. It's just spontaneous. So then we go to school and we're taught, right, okay, you're only safe here if you repeat this information. Okay, this is what happened to me. Then from that day, the child learns confusion, which teaches fear.
Mm-hmm.
That means the breathing stops being properly. They'll breathe because they don't want to feel judgment or criticism. They'll breathe up. Right. So all the energy is going up and out. It's not going down and in. It doesn't. They don't. So they don't remain in their innocence, and that's what's happened to us.
I understand.
You know. So actually, we're in a fascinating time right now, where, according to the laws of nature or God, whichever terms you prefer, we are being called to require of ourselves to be personally very responsible for recognizing what I've learned to do doesn't work, and I know it, and I've known it all along in my heart of hearts.
Okay.
So from now on, there's only one thing that has to change, and guess who it is? And the ego doesn't want to hear that, because it's in the habit of years. So the ego's going, well, why have I spent all of these years learning to do this then, and now I've not got to do it? Heart. Right. So and the simple truth is, it's a process of self-mastery, and it's a process of evolution of conscious, intelligent awareness.
I understand.
And our body is the instrument and the classroom, and so is this
Environment.
earth environment. Yeah.
We already made one interview before this one, and I will add the link in the video description, and I will also add all the informations about what John is doing, because he's conducting workshops about intuition and other topics.
And concerts.
Yes. So you can contact him through your homepage
Yeah,
directly.
correct.
It's called?
Lifebalanceportal.com.
Thank you, John.
Lifebalanceportal.com.
Thank you, John.
And that came to me intuitively because of not listening and learning how to listen.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Great questions.
Thank you.